Minister, I'm glad in a sense it's yourself that's in it, because you took a hands-on approach in relation to another matter, and maybe you might have some influence here, because I'm standing here over 7 years later since the government introduced a wonderful policy. None of us had a problem with it. It was a policy to ensure the sustainability of fishing within the 6 nautical mile zone and to ban trawlers from over 18 metres. And none of us had a problem with that, and it was to be rolled out with a transition phase which was very practical and sensible to give the bigger trawlers time to adjust to the new regime and to move out over a period of time. Unfortunately, it has never become a reality, and it's particularly acute given the biodiversity emergency, our climate emergency, and equally importantly for sustainable jobs on the coast. And so what happened briefly, and you can save me this as if it's in your answer because it's been brought up so many times, it was challenged by a number of boat owners, and they were perfectly entitled to do that, and it went to the High Court, and the High Court found for them on one specific ground that the consultation, I put it in my words, was faulty. Nothing else. Indeed, the High Court set out that the government is entitled to make policy, and the policy that they had was in keeping with government objectives in terms of sustainability and biodiversity. And so one tiny part was found not right, and so the policy was held at naught. That then was appealed by both sides to the Court of Appeal. Fast forward, that took a number of years. The Court of Appeal, very interestingly, once again held totally with the government, absolutely agreed government were entitled to make the policy, and it was in keeping with all of their aims and objectives. But on this occasion, they held on a narrow ground, not that the boat owners hadn't been consulted. They didn't hold with that. They said that Britain and the EU had not been consulted. They hadn't been put on notice that there was going to be this change. So just on that very narrow ground, it went back to scratch. And so it went back for consultation. On the first occasion, there were 900 submissions. On this occasion, I understand there were more than 5,000 submissions. Now, I've been down at a public meeting in relation to this matter. I've been in Connemara in relation to a packed public meeting in relation to this matter. And all I want is the policy implemented. So just for yourself, so if you could just spare me a little bit, on the 20th of May, I got an answer, and it sets out. I would like to take this opportunity to emphasise that this matter is the utmost importance, and I get assurances. Fast forward 2 calendar months later, verbatim, not even a full stop change, not even a comma. Okay, maybe just the last line. It is critical that all the necessary procedural and legal steps are taken. Now, the consultation process closed last year. We're over a year since the consultation process closed. Now, bear in mind that the High Court and the Court of Appeal found no problem with government policy, none whatsoever, just with a tiny segment of the consultation. And in fact, they said there wasn't even an obligation to consult. But once the government undertakes a consultation process, they must take all care to do it right. And so in the last, the Court of Appeal said England and the EU. So I'm not sure where the problem is. I do know it's urgent. I do know that all is on leave from next week. And so in September, we're going to be looking at the big trawlers going in unsustainably, taking out the sprat in very large quantities in an unsustainable way, quite a lot of it going to feed fish farms. This is a golden opportunity for a win-win on the government on every single level, but particularly for local fishermen. I'll stay within my time.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I'd like to thank Deputy Connolly for raising this issue, and I'm taking it on behalf of Minister Timmy Dooley. Deputy Connolly, I was speaking to Minister Dooley myself this morning in advance of the debate. Minister Dooley sends his apologies. He has to attend a meeting with the UK Fisheries Minister this morning. He will be in direct contact with yourself over the coming days on the matter. So that, I hope that provides a level of reassurance. I'll deal with the answer now, but at the top I think it was important to make that point. So I would like to stress this government is fully committed to maintaining support for our important inshore fishery sector and promoting the sustainability of fish stocks as outlined in our programme for government. As background, and much of this, Deputy, you'll appreciate you've already covered, but as a matter of record, I want to read it into the record. In December 2018, the then Minister for Agriculture, Food and Marine announced the vessels for 18 metres would be excluded from trawling in inshore waters inside the 6 nautical mile zone and the baseline from the 1st of January 2020. A transition period for vessels over 18 metres targeted spat was allowed to enable adjustment for these vessels as the spat fishery is concentrated inside the 6 nautical mile zone. Policy Directive 1 of 29 was issued by the Minister to the Independent Licensing Authority for Sea Fisheries Boats to give effect to these measures. This decision to exclude vessels over 18 metres from trawling inside 6 nautical miles, so we have an extended legal proceedings further to additional review to the High Court taken by 2 applicants, fishermen, challenging the validity of the policy. Following the final judgment of the Court of Appeal in this matter in 2023, where the applicants succeeded, on the narrowest of grounds, Policy Directive 1 of 29 was squashed and no longer had legal effect. On the basis of legal advice received in respect of the next step, the Minister for Agriculture, Food and Marine decided to proceed anew with a public consultation on a review of trawling activity inside the 6 nautical mile zone and the baselines. The purpose of the consultation was to invite stakeholders and interested parties to advise of their views on any potential changes to policy within the scope of this review. Due to lengthy proceedings, it has been over 5 years since the original scientific and economic advice was compiled. Therefore, up-to-date scientific and economic advice was sought from the Marine Institute and on board Ishkawara, respectively, on trawling in the waters inside 6 nautical miles and the baseline prior to the public consultation. Consultation opened in February 2024 and took place over a period of 8 weeks, closing in April 2024. The consultation took place without prejudice. The Minister is conscious of the dependence of our inshore fleet compared to larger vessels on fishing resources within the 6 nautical mile zone. The policy context has changed from 2018 and the Minister encouraged all interested parties to read the consultation document, reflecting on those in making any submissions. The volume of submissions received and the new 24 consultation held was considerable, as you've already alluded to. Over 5,500 submissions received, more than 6 times greater than the submissions received during the 2018 consultation, further highlighting the increased public interest in the matter. These submissions will be used to inform a review of trawling activity inside 6 nautical mile zone and baselines. The sheer volume of detailed submissions takes time to collate and fully analyse. All of the issues will be carefully considered before a decision can be made, given the history of litigation in relation to this matter. It is critical that all of the necessary procedural and legal steps be taken before any final decision is made. And just to reiterate, Minister Dooley sends his apologies. He's in the UK this morning meeting the Fisheries Minister, so he would have liked to take the debate. And furthermore, he will make direct contact with you, Deputy Kelly, on this matter over the coming days.
Thank you, Minister.
With a minister being missing, I understand how busy they are, and really personal contact never impresses me as such. I'm delighted when they do. What impresses me more is an answer on paper. And so where are we with the analysis of the 5,500 consultations? So I see from your answer that the policy context has changed since 2018 and people making a submission were made aware of that. And yes, I appreciate that. The policy context has become even more serious in terms of our obligations, in terms of climate change, biodiversity, and in terms of a sustainable way of living for people on our coastal areas. This ties in with seaweed. It also ties in with a wool industry. We're utterly failing as a country to encourage small native industries. And so here is a golden opportunity. I can't accept it because the 2 questions that I got and replied, they're exactly the same, except for the last sentence. That's not your fault. But what I'm pointing out with that, there's no sense of urgency here. Absolutely none. There's no sense that we've now lost 7 years and the fishing continues unsustainably. So what I want is a breakdown. How many of the 5,500 submissions have been gone through? Are there enough staff there to look at it? What's the breakdown in terms of supporting the policy and not supporting the policy? What are the vested interests there? And right, if they have an interest, that's okay, but it needs to be dealt with quickly so that we can have a policy in place. Are you telling me now by September I'm going to be looking at the big trawlers in Galway Bay and elsewhere on this? When I was down in Bantry, I was in Connemara as well, the point was made that people are so upset now they want a complete ban even within the 6 mile. That's the level or where they've been driven to, as opposed to a sustainable policy. as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Once again, Deputy Connolly, I want to thank you for raising this important matter, and as I've already stated, I'm taking this matter on behalf of Minister Dooley, and as I've already said, Minister Dooley will be in contact with you over the coming days, directly with your good self, and he once again would like to have been here today to take the debate in his capacity as Minister with responsibility for this area, but a prior arrangement agreed already to meet the Minister for Fisheries in the UK today itself. So, Deputy Connolly, this Government is fully committed to maintaining support for our important inshore fishing sector and promoting the sustainability of fishing stocks as outlined in the programme for Government. The review of trawling policy inside 6 nautical miles is ongoing. Right that the 5,500 submissions received are given due consideration, and the updated scientific and economic analysis of the Marine Institute and Board Ishkawara factored into any decision. This takes time to get it right. To get right. Again, I must stress here that given the history of litigation on the previous policy directive, it's vital all necessary procedural and legal steps be taken before any final decision is made. However, I would like to take this opportunity to emphasise that this matter is of the utmost importance to this Government. I can assure that my department is doing everything to progress this as expeditiously as possible. Thank you.